This is Hello, welcome. I am a 24-year-old post-grad figuring out my life girl, and I am going to be a flight attendant starting in January. So I thought I would share the process that I went through, the interview process, the process before the interview process of learning and understanding what was going to happen, and now what I'm doing and what's next. So I watched probably like 50 different videos of people sharing their experiences. So I knew that if I made it through the process, I would immediately be filming a video to share what my experience was and what I learned. So I'm gonna jump right in because I have so many notes and I have a lot to say. So the amazing thing is I went through this process, and I do know how, by the grace of God, I got 2 CJOs, which is nutso, like crazy. I actually filmed the process of me going to both of my face-to-face interviews, so I have that recorded. I did not know how to edit or film or anything, and so both the videos are kind of a mess, but they're there and I have them documented. Yeah, I actually went through the process with 2 separate mainline carriers or airlines and got the CJOs. And so I'm gonna share what I did. I feel like I really saw what they were looking for and found out how to be that. And so I'm gonna share what I did. And I'm gonna start from the very beginning. So to give a little context, it was probably May or June when I started saying, okay, I'm gonna do this. And the first thing I did is I talked to my friend that I knew for like 2 hours. She was a mainline flight attendant, I don't know what the word is, mainline airline flight attendant, whatever. And asked her so many questions about what the process was like for her, what her life is like, where her base is, like all the questions. So that was the first step. Then I started researching the actual airlines. I started watching so many YouTube videos, listening to so many podcasts. I will link below a podcast that I listened to that was probably the most helpful. He was a Delta flight attendant, and he did this whole series on face-to-face and how to get a CJO, and it was so helpful. So I'm going to link that. I watched, again, so many YouTube videos, so many podcasts, just talked to so many different people. So the first step, I guess, was research and networking. So I researched so much and I messaged so many people on LinkedIn. So that's my first tip. I went on LinkedIn, and there are actually flight attendants on LinkedIn, and I just messaged them like, I'm really interested in blank airline. I would love to set up a call with you if you have the time. I totally understand if not, just would love to chat. And I got I think everybody responded and was like, girl, I would love to talk with you. And so that was probably the most helpful thing. I ended up finding an angel on LinkedIn, and she talked to me for 3 hours. She referenced me. She was amazing. So go to LinkedIn. It has more than you think, and find an angel, because that's really what helped me. But I did that, talked to so many people, told friends and family, LinkedIn. One thing that I was able to do is I was able to find and connect with someone from every airline. So I'll say the airlines I was considering was American, United, Delta, and Southwest. And so I actually found people from every airline and got a reference from every airline. Like I had somebody that I knew and that referenced me. The next step was working on my resume, because also, I'm sure everyone that would watch this knows that the applications only open for like 24 hours and then they close. And so you want to like get on it and apply as soon as you can. And so I wanted to have everything I needed ready. So I started to work on my resume pretty much as soon as I decided I wanted to do this. So my friend, actually, my starting point was she sent me her resume, and I just went on Canva and like kind of crafted my own format and made it myself. I'm not going to show much because there's personal information on here, but to give, like, this was what it looked like. The picture is controversial, and to be honest, going back, I don't know if you can see it, I wouldn't do this, to be honest. I just would not do it because I I don't know. I think it's why I got rejected from one of the airlines. And there could be a million reasons why I got rejected, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the reasons I got rejected. And I didn't know if I was supposed to put a picture. The girl that sent me hers had a picture, and then a couple, like I talked to 3 different people who were like high up in the airline industry and were like, yeah, the picture's fine. But then I talked to other people who were like, do not put a picture. So just do whatever you feel most confident doing. It, you know, you're never gonna have it perfect, but that's what I did, and it worked for some of the airlines. So yes, I got my resume and worked on that. So gonna get into resume now. So with your resume, you want to have it basically be very customer service oriented and people oriented. And there's some key words that I think that some of the airlines use computer systems to pull and flag resumes that are good, and I think they literally have keywords that they want to find. So customer service is obviously huge. I also think if you've worked in any kind of healthcare, that would be huge, just because medical emergencies and things of that sort. But I put on it, I'll start from the beginning, I put on it, you know, my phone number, email, address. I put in my LinkedIn and my Instagram, which I kind of feel like that was helpful because it showed like I'm ready to be not the face of the company, but kind of the face of the company. I have my social media ready. I am professional. I am not posting crazy stuff on my social media. The next thing I put was skills, and I'll just read the skills that I put on my resume. I also changed my resume based off of obviously each airline I was applying to. So this was to one of the airlines that I applied to, and actually the airline that I accepted my CJO with. So these, and I kind of adjusted it to their core values and obviously inserted their names into it. So I put problem solving, adaptability, customer relations, public speaking, inclusive leadership. I feel like that's helpful. Consistency and team oriented. So that was it. And then I put my education. I put any organizations that I've been in. I've been in a lot of international student organizations because I just love different cultures, and I love being around and hearing stories of where people live and what it's like there. I also studied abroad, so I think that was helpful to put on there. And then yeah, went right into my experience. So I put most recent to least recent, I guess. And I put 4 different jobs that I've done. And I'm not really going to get into those, but that's what I put. And then at the bottom, I put references, and I included a flight attendant from that airline that I was applying to, as well as like my current employer and then one of my past employers. So only professional references. And so yeah, that was what I did for my resume. I'm happy to share any more stuff on that, but I need to move on because I'm already talking too long. But I'm happy to share anything about resume, or if anybody sees this in comments, I would love to set up a call or give some insight. I obviously don't know a lot, but I did do a lot of research, and I'm happy to help. So that would be the next thing. And after I finished my resume, I sent it to like the flight attendant I knew at that airline. So I had multiple people look over it, and also not just people. I had a friend who was a recruiter. I had her look over it. Just people that I knew were professional and knew what a resume needed to look like. And I got either like change this or that looks great or whatever. So I just really tried to learn the company and then include any experiences I had that would align with that company. So next is the interviews. So I'm going to kind of talk about the virtual and then the face-to-face, but everything I talk about with obviously questions and what to wear and stuff is important for both of the interviews. So I'm going to start with virtual. I'm going to start with what I wore. I won't be able to really give so much insight for guys, but also I feel like it kind of goes both ways. I just chose to wear a classic and sleek look. I didn't really try to be anything special, or I didn't really try to pop with my clothes, which I don't think that's necessarily I don't think it's wrong to do that, but I just decided, okay, I want to pop with the way I interact with people and the way that I present myself and the way I hold myself versus what I'm wearing, because honestly that's what they're looking for. They're gonna put you in a uniform that's gonna be like the same across everyone, and they just want your personality and who you are to be what pops. So I'll insert a picture somewhere of what I wore. I wore the same outfit for both of the interviews, and I felt like it was a great outfit. I bought some heels on Amazon, and if anybody wants the link, I will link them below. But they were the best because they were so comfortable, and I felt really good wearing heels, to be honest, but they were like really short. So that was great. I did a slick back, felt great about that. Classic makeup, nothing special. And then I did have like light pink nails, and then I think for the other interview I had a French tip, and both short. So I didn't play risky on anything, and I would suggest you to do the same. I did not wear a scarf. I saw some stuff. I bought a scarf and was like, oh, I'll wear this, it'll be cute and it'll make them envision me as a flight attendant. But I just decided not to because I wanted it to look like I'm just a business professional woman who is applying for this job, not a flight attendant, like not like I'm dressing up to be a flight attendant to come here, you know? I am a flight attendant. Second part to it was questions. So questions, this is the main thing. You're gonna get asked so many questions in all of the interviews, obviously. And so the first thing that I did that I would say is so helpful, and it took me a long time of just thinking, and as I was driving thinking, as I was walking thinking, as I was working, I would just brainstorm, and I would keep like a notes in my phone, and I would collect stories that I thought would be adaptable to any question that they would ask me. So I wrote down, like, I thought of all of the years I've been working since 16 years old to now. I thought of all the professional experiences, even volunteer work or internships or anything. I thought of all of those things I've done, and I thought of the key accomplishments I've had, the hard things I've had, the difficult interactions I've had, times I've had to problem solve. I thought of times I've unified or led, and I just wrote down any instance. So I like literally have so many stories that I wrote down that I would just kind of have bullet pointed, and I would know the story and know the cue of that story. So I waitressed, so I'd write down some stories of, like, one time I had a really hard table, who all the people at the table disrespected me and whatever, and how I dealt with that. And I wrote down just a bunch of stories that I would just have in my library fresh on my mind, to where if they would ask me a question like, when's a time you had to deal with a really difficult customer interaction, I would have a story like, oh, I remember I like flagged that story in my mind to pull up. And so I don't think I would have been able to answer the questions quickly and well without having done that. That was my biggest thing, because, you know, I had those stories in my mind, but for some reason they like would not come up unless I like remembered them and brought them to my fresh memory. And so I would really recommend just getting a journal and just brain dumping all the experiences you've had and just having those ready to share about. The next thing that I did was I learned what STAR method was. I will say, once I learned what STAR method was, I had a freak out, because I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't been answering in STAR format. I don't even know what that is. But once I really learned what it was, I can't even know if I'll remember. Situation, oh gosh, I don't even remember. I probably wrote it down here somewhere. Situation, task, action, result. I feel like if you actually are a storyteller and you like to share a story, you will do STAR method naturally. Definitely practice it, because maybe you aren't doing it naturally and you don't know. So check with a friend, have a friend learn what it is, and then you tell them your answers and make sure you're answering in that format. But I had a freak out, and then I just realized, like, oh, I think naturally you start by explaining the situation, setting up the scene, and then you share what happened, what was needed, the task, and then you naturally say what you did to follow up and meet that, like, I guess, occasion that comes up. And then the result, naturally, you're gonna wrap it up and say, this is what happened. The next thing is obviously also know the core values of each airline. So I think there's different core values for each airline, and you should know these already from working on your resume, but know them for your questions as well, just to pull in, like, I really value inclusivity and diversity, and so I made sure to include this person. Just know those core values and really try to focus on answering questions and using those keywords. So to wrap up the virtual interview, I will say I got it all set up the day before, made sure it was good. I got a camera and pretended to answer some questions. I turned my camera on, make sure I felt good about it. And then I left work like 45 minutes early and made sure I could get logged on early. Again, I have that whole process in my vlogs of my virtual or face-to-face interviews, but that is what I did. And I felt really good about that. Just getting to have some time to make sure everything was all set up, not have a freak out, make sure to follow any instructions they have. Sometimes they'll say type your first name and last initial, follow all the instructions perfectly. They want to make sure you can follow instructions. You read all the emails 5 times and just know them, make sure you didn't miss anything. So that is another thing. Just be super thorough in the things you do. Make sure you're just checking all your bases. And posture wise, I'm not even replicating it right now, but just make sure you have a really good posture and you just carry a smile. Maybe not a smile a big bright one, but just a subtle, you're just happy to be there and you're just enjoying yourself. Just hold yourself and be happy. Just be confident and professional. The next thing, I did write down a Bible verse and stuck it on my wall so I could just see it in the back behind the camera, just to give me a sense of peace. So if you have something that will give you peace during that process, just to look at and just ground you, I really recommend doing that, because it really did help me just to have that and to be oh, it'll all be okay. I've got the Lord on my side. That was really helpful. And then the last thing I would say is make sure you have good questions for them. On one of my interviews, I didn't even think about that, and I did not have good questions for them. I was how do you like the airline? I don't remember. I asked something not helpful at all. So have good questions ready to ask them. I'll give some examples of some questions that I think would be good. Of the core values, and then I listed out the core values, caring, safety, all these things. Which core value do you identify with most? That could be a good question. How was your first year with blank airline? How have you seen growth in yourself since being with blank airline? Where have you been based and which was the best fit for you personally? So those are some questions that I feel are actually will maybe make them remember you. They're good questions for you to understand more about the company, but also for them to kind of have a second to think and reflect. So those were good. Okay, getting into really quick the face-to-face. Face-to-face, I dressed the same as I had for the virtual. I did drive to the face-to-face. I live in Texas, and both of the interviews were in Texas for these airlines. I did drive to the interview, spent the night before, and the first thing I'll say is get there early. I don't know why. Sometimes I have this feeling I don't want to be the first one there, and maybe you don't want to be the first one there. Maybe you could be the 5th one there, but get there early. And this is for your own good, because I feel getting there early helps you just to get comfortable in the new environment, to be the first one there to welcome people, show that you can welcome people and make them feel a part of it, just to really kind of get your social battery going. Sometimes I need to actually warm up my social battery, and so getting there early, and it's usually early in the morning, you have some time to really break out of your shell. I think if you get there 10 minutes before the interview starts, then you're gonna be a little frantic and you're not gonna know people yet, and it's just nice to get to establish some relationships there and just enjoy yourself. You actually get to talk to people too who have gone through the same process as you. I don't know, that was just super exciting for me, because this process is crazy, and I could tell my friends all about it, but they weren't actually going through it. And so getting to be surrounded by a bunch of people who are going through the same thing as you is nice, and it's just fun. Be why did you decide to apply? Just get to know them. It's actually really fun. So that was good, and just having time to chat and be there. It was a great time. And so the last thing I'll say is just about how to hold yourself during this interview. I feel they are really looking for a very specific kind of person, and the kind of person is just someone who will take initiative and be a leader and be inclusive. So to kind of set it up for you, I feel you walk in and you smile and you just have the genuine understanding that these people, you're here to make friends, you're here to actually care, and you're here to be confident and kind. Those were the two things that I really would tell myself: be confident, be kind, be confident, be kind. And so be an includer, be a listener, be a delegator, be a question asker, and be a friend, a genuine friend to the people around you. Just really actually try and make friends. Don't just try and pretend like you're making friends. Just actually care what people are saying. Actually try and make friends with them. You could get their number and actually be friends with them after this. You don't know. So be genuine, and all the while still be poised and professional. It's super important to still be just holding yourself in a professional way while also being super personable and caring and kind. One last thing I want to say that I heard from someone else, and it really helped me to feel a little more in control. So there is usually a group activity, and I don't know if every airline has this, but a lot of times the airlines will do a group activity. And don't be the person that talks the whole time and doesn't let anybody else talk. But also don't be the person that doesn't say a word, because that's also not great. The thing that I found as a sweet spot is let people talk, but also take initiative and delegate. So be the person that's, if people are talking over each other, be the person that says, hold on 1 second, you can say why don't you say something, and then you can say something. Or if it's a task where you have to organize things, say, okay, perfect. Why don't we all take a card and each of us will read it out loud, and then we'll put them in order. So be the person to lead the group, but don't be the person to talk over everybody in the group. Be the person that gives others an opportunity to shine. It just shows that you're a team player. It shows that you care about other people. And that was something that I found really helpful, was not talking over people, but also talking in a way that is inclusive and leads others to shine. So that is the last thing I have to say. I don't know if any of you are going through this process or just kind of dipping your toe in the process, but I am super excited that you are even starting to explore it. I start training in January and it's November right now, so I still have a little bit of time, and I'm not even a flight attendant yet, but I'm doing this video while the whole process is still super fresh on my mind. I will document as I go and see what it is actually like to be a flight attendant, but so far so good. I wish you all the best on your flight attendant journey. Sorry, this is so random, but I have to jump in here because the way I close this is not the way I want to close this. I have a couple other things just to say. First, walk in there like you have the CJO. Just walk in there like you have it. Don't be nervous. Know that these people are there for you and are rooting for you and are excited for you. Walk in there like you've got it. You do got it. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm so excited for this next season. It's gonna be a crazy one, but I'm ready for it. So come along. We'll see how it goes.